want to talk today about astrology because I have had some really incredible experiences with it. I have on 3 separate occasions had my chart read by the same astrologist, and each time he has perfectly been able to tap into my exact spiritual and mental state at the time. His name is Robert Phoenix, and I wanted to personally promote his online astrology readings because not only is he an astrologist of immense skill, but he is also a subversive political philosopher and writer and radio show host. People don't realize that astrology is actually much more nuanced than the simple sun sign, as we commonly address, is indicative of. There are elements for everything. There are houses for each planet. There's your ascendant and your descendant, etc. It really takes a master to understand the depths of an entire chart's aspects. And Robert has been doing this for a decade on top of previous experience as a psychic, and he is unbelievably wise. A lot of people have doubts about the validity of astrology, but I've talked about spiritual topics before, and one thing I know to be true is that people have continual energetic imprints on reality. Everything in the universe is connected, so even someone on the opposite side of the world can be affecting you at a spiritual level. I've talked before in this video about the collective unconscious, and that's how all the people alive today create the big spiritual stew that affects all of us. Whether this is something magnetic or some kind of purely ethereal force is anyone's guess, but lots of people who are in tune with their spirituality are aware that invisible forces such as these do exist. If so, it really is not such a stretch to believe that the planets themselves exude some kind of a presence that affects us. We know that at the very least, the cycles of the moon can influence people psychologically. Personally, I believe that the Earth itself may have an actual consciousness. My spiritual conception of the idea behind astrological physics is this. You are like a mirror, and everything that you are is a reflection and a reaction to the universe as a whole. This includes all the energies given off by culture and objects, i.e. the mental and physical, which are really just frequencies of the same energy, by the way. And also, this idea of frequencies is the most basic tenet of metaphysics, and is fun to explore if you have spiritual insight of your own. All that makes you unique is your exact position in both time. All that makes you unique is your exact position in both time and space to determine what you are reflecting. And it just so happens that these are the exact things that astrology uses to indicate its various meanings. Apart from your original natal chart that everyone is born with, an astrologist can also analyze transits that occur throughout your life in the form of things such as a planet becoming conjunct with the point that a different or even the same planet was at when you were born. Robert, in particular, writes in his blog about astrological transits and how they influence world events. One really great example was that he was actually able to predict the death of David Bowie 2 days before it happened. Astrology is amazing like this sometimes, and the unique collection of various intersections and combined variables can use the energies of different planets to make generalized predictions about the outcomes that will occur in your life. Apart from that, you can also make judgments about what the purpose that most aligns with your particular astrology is, with things such as the North Node. which tells you what you should be focused on in this lifetime, and your South Node tells you which you should avoid. Getting a personal astrologist can help you gain insight into these types of things, and can be a very cathartic experience overall, particularly if you are making important life decisions or don't know what path to follow in life. If you've read some of the basic astrology reports for your sun sign and felt they weren't accurate, there is probably a good reason for it, like your natal sun being in a very different house than the actual sun sign it's in. And even if you think that all this spiritual stuff is just a bunch of woo-woo nonsense, you will get something out of listening to Robert's advice for you. He is the closest thing you can get to a modern-day shaman. A lot of people think astrology is about predicting the future, but that is only a facet of what makes it important. It's not always so much about divination as much as it actually is more like scrying into the deeper meaning of the present. And really, you can make predictions from the future based on that alone, just like in any way causation can be observed in the universe. And this is where I feel Robert has really helped improve my life, putting reality into perspective so I can make better choices for the future. I think dismissing the power of astrology is foolish when you consider the universe has been around for billions of years before we humans came along and thought that we could rationalize that which is ineffable. And even post-humanity, we have had shamans for guidance long before science told us that everything has to be observable and measured to be true. As a person with schizophrenia, I can say that there is so much more beyond what we observe. Not all is as it appears to be. The realm of spirit is absolutely real and influences every thought and action that occurs to you and relates to the esoteric hidden meaning of things. Also, in Hinduism, they believe consciousness gives rise to matter, not the other way around, such as we often do with science. I would agree with this presumption somewhat because I believe consciousness has existed since the beginning of time, though it probably also works both ways in that regard, with consciousness giving rise to matter, matter giving rise to consciousness. I think the most accurate picture is like a trifecta between matter, spirit, and consciousness, where spirit is the moderator between the other two. So even though I respect science for its accomplishments, obviously, I think its ignorance of truths that are more empirical, like the fact that all is one, and yes, I do think that is a fact, and how important spirituality is to our understanding of that fact, makes science into a realm of being more subjective than it could ever admit that it actually is. Like Tom Robbins says, quote, "The universe does not have laws, it has habits, and habits can be broken," end quote. Even astrology recognizes its own level of subjectivity. There are meta principles built into it that recognize the malleability of the future. The 12 signs in the chart represent fundamental forces of the universe which balance each other out. Even if you don't want to learn how to read a chart, there's a lot to learn just from learning about each sign and how it relates to the others. Robert even has a course that can teach you to read a chart. So yeah, check out Robert's blog in the description below and learn to use astrology to its full potential.